Welcome back to Living Electric. We're coming up on the Thursday after Drive Electric Earth Day in Ohio, or Drive Electric Earth Week, I guess. It's kind of convoluted because there's no like specific Drive Electric Earth Day. A lot of different events kind of happen on the same week, but we had an event in Columbus back on Saturday, and you had an event up in Cleveland on Saturday as well. So we're going to kind of recap that real quick. So what happened up in Cleveland?
Well, it's actually funny because I actually didn't attend our main Earth Day event because we had our Model 3 go through like PPF, so like the entire front is now paint protected.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And there was some type of headache with the detailer we're using. Everything worked out. You know, I don't want to like throw shade on any businesses. They did a great job. So like it all worked out, but because of the delay and the process of it, we missed our main event, which was at the Cleveland Zoo. And they were having like a marathon through the zoo, and we had like a whole setup for EVs.
That's cool.
Yeah, so it would have been cool to attend, but we did get to go to an Earth Day event in Hudson, Ohio. And they had a Rivian R1S, a launch edition, which was really cool to see. R1T, sorry,
okay.
R1T. I have
I have not seen the R1S outside of like a Rivian showroom, I feel like. So that would have been shocking if it showed up in Hudson, Ohio.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of money there, let's be honest.
That's true.
But there was a launch edition R1T that was black on the 22-inch rims, which was like super cool to see.
Yeah.
A bunch of like different like green organizations from like Akron, Ohio. And I think there was 25 EVs there, a bunch of Mach-E's, Model 3s, Bolts, all that stuff. So it was pretty cool. And then we drove around taking photos of charging stations, and that was pretty much the way we celebrated Earth Day. So
was that your first time sitting in the Rivian? Because we didn't get to when we were out in California, right?
Yeah.
How did like the interior and stuff feel? Were you impressed by it?
I was really impressed by it. Like just like the fit and finish and like the materials that Rivian is putting into that vehicle. It's like, I don't know. It's like a luxury truck. Like I know how capable it is, but it feels like almost like a Range Rover level luxury.
Gotcha.
The only thing that surprised me the most was the steering wheel is super thin. Like really thin.
Interesting.
Yeah, like I could literally wrap my whole hand around it, like
like did it feel thinner than like your Model 3 or your Bolt or anything like that? Interesting.
Much thinner than the Bolt, which was weird. I was kind of like shocked, like from the photos it looks like a thick, like almost like a Tesla steering wheel. But that was the only thing that shocked me. But we will be recording that R1T. We just have to figure out what we're doing with the owner and getting a chance to go and record that. So that should be really cool.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Is the how new was it? You said it was launch edition, right? So it's got to be one of the first.
Yeah. I think he only had it for maybe 6 or 8 weeks. Like it wasn't very long.
Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, he loves it. It's beautiful. Just the black on black on black. Like I told him, I'm like, it's the perfect configuration.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was great. But so in Columbus, you guys had a massive birthday event.
Yes. Yeah. Down at Genoa Park, if you're familiar with Columbus, right behind COSI, which is like the science museum, right in the middle of downtown, right off the river. It was a beautiful day too. We couldn't have asked for better weather. I've got an awesome farmer's tan going on now because I wore a t-shirt all day. So
it starts. It begins in April.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, there's no way to avoid it either. Like even if I put sunscreen, I feel like I still would have gotten some tan lines. But I was telling people it could have gone either way. It could have rained like the entire day and been cold, or it would have been like an 80-degree day like it was. So I'm glad it was warmer though.
Yeah.
But because of that, we had a great turnout. We had obviously a lot of people that were planning to come to the event, but also being downtown. It's a Saturday. People are just out doing things, and they are walking around and like walk into the Earth Day event, which is awesome. So we got a lot of kind of random people walking through, which I feel like is great for EV events like this or Earth Day events, because it kind of tries to loop people into our world a little bit. And help educate people we generally wouldn't reach. So that kind of whole sentiment came up the whole day, where it was like, usually those events, like we kind of get, everybody's kind of speaking the same language, everybody's on the same page, so it's kind of like preaching to the choir in a little bit, where you don't always reach out to the like non-EV fans or the EV skeptics or stuff like that, where I feel like a lot of the work really needs done. But overall, it was a lot of fun. The COTA, which is the like Central Ohio Transit Authority, that runs like the buses and the public transit in Columbus, had their brand new electric bus there. So that was really cool.
That's awesome.
It was funny, though, because we all lined up our cars on one side of the street, and then one of the organizers of the event came over and said, hey, we've got a COTA bus coming. Like, can y'all move your cars? And we're like, what do you mean? There's a big spot on the other side of the road. Like, we left it open for the bus. Yeah. And they're like, well, the door is actually on this side, so we've got to be, like, parked a certain way so people can actually walk onto the bus.
Oh,
we're like,
interesting.
Shoot. So we had to, like, within 5 to 10 minutes, we had to flip every single car, like, to the other side of the street and line them up so like we could display them. So that was really the only hiccup getting set up, but other than that, it was really good. The COTA bus was awesome. It was on the entire day, so like if I was getting warm, I walked on there for a few minutes to like cool off, because it's fully air conditioned and it's not burning anything. Like it can just stay running. So, but other than that, I mean, it looks like a regular bus. Like they've got it fully outfitted like a regular bus. It's got the normal seats. Like you really wouldn't be able to tell unless somebody told you, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw. I believe it was that bus, or at least like one of those buses, in October at the Clean Fields, Ohio event that I went to.
Oh yeah. And
it was so cool, like being in a modern bus, like touchscreens and USB ports and just like LED lighting in it. It just felt cleaner than like what you find from like a typical like compressed gas.
Sure they cleaned it up too for the event, so that helps.
So, question for you. You mentioned that like the AC was running or the bus was running all day. Could you hear the fans, or was it relatively quiet?
It was relatively quiet. Obviously, there's a lot of activity being at an event, but like if you would have, like a lot of people were surprised to hear it was running. Like there was kind of an attendant there, and every time somebody walked on, he'd be like, yeah, this is COTA's new electric bus. It's running right now. Like you wouldn't really be able to tell. It almost sounds like it's in like accessory mode on a regular car, which is like, I guess what it is in an EV, right? It's kind of always in accessory mode. So
it's funny when you say it that way.
So, but yeah, there's no fans really running. Like it sounded very quiet. Like I honestly didn't even notice. So that was good.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, now, were there any EVs that like kind of surprised you that were there?
Not really. It was all ones I had seen before. Nothing like brand new. Somebody brought their Model X, so obviously that attracts a lot of people. As soon as you put the wings up, it was hilarious because every time I walked back and forth, there were about 10 people around the car checking it out, asking the owner questions, like, which is great because like we need more people to come check out these vehicles.
Oh yeah,
But we had Kia Niro, we had an i3 show up, we had a ID4, a Bolt, battery replaced Bolt actually.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Talked to the owner about that. She had it battery replaced and got it like super cheap too. So like it was a good deal for her.
Oh, that's awesome.
She told me an interesting story actually about, she had a Smart 4.2 she sold electric. She sold before she bought the Bolt, and she not sold the 4.2. It was totaled, I think. So the 4.2 got totaled. She got money from insurance, I think, to like obviously cover like the totaled car. I don't think she was at fault. I didn't completely get the whole story, but apparently she bought back her totaled 4.2 for like $300 or something like that. Some junkyard was selling it. Huh. And inside of it, obviously it's got a lot of expensive electronics. So like she's basically in the process of tearing it apart and like salvaging the battery to use for like home storage, salvaging like all the electronics to sell on eBay because like they're still worth like hundreds if not thousands of dollars. So like she basically made out like buying this totaled 4.2.
Yeah, I mean honestly, like if you can do that, that's actually a great idea for like home battery, like electric storage.
Right.
Yeah, go find like a totaled Leaf or something where the battery pack is still intact and
Because
kind of
generally,
retrofit it to the house.
right, because generally the batteries are built to last. They're going to last 10 plus years. They might not have the same capacity, but like that doesn't matter if you're hooking it up to your house. Like, it's not like you need it to drive anywhere. So yeah, that is the nice thing about EVs is I think their life outlasts their drivability, if that makes sense. Like
for sure.
Their parts and the batteries can go be used in other things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that could be a whole episode, honestly, talking about like what we could like make a battery pack into after it serves its purpose as a heart of an EV.
I'll add it to our list here.
Yeah.
We're getting more streamlined on the Living Electric podcast. Now we've got a whole list that we have brainstormed. We're adding ideas to it.
Yeah.
So it's going well.
I've listened to a lot of podcasts where they do like the how to pronounce names directly on the podcast, and it's hilarious. Like when they're talking about cities, and they go through that. So
it's funny.
But wow, that sounds like a great event. That was one thing I'm kind of upset that like I didn't get to go to the Cleveland Zoo, because like at the Hudson event, it was at their city hall. So like it was organized and like the people who obviously knew about the event went. So like there was like a soccer game and like some parents came over to check out the cars. But at the zoo, they were having a marathon. So it's like, who signed up for that?
Right.
And who could stop over, chat about EVs and So I'm not exactly sure how that event went, to be honest. I'm going to have to check in with that part of the group.
I think that's uber important, and something I think we're definitely trying to do, like in the Drive Electric Columbus group, is kind of piggyback on these other events and like go reach people we normally wouldn't reach. So
it's smart.
Yeah. But
overall,
I think the sentiment was really positive with everybody I talked to. Most people were open to EVs. Like they're like, oh yeah, we're looking at buying one like as our next car. And like kind of the joke all day was like, if you can buy one right now, because it's so hard to get your hands on a car. So
I know.
That's really gotta kind of put a damper on everything, because people want these cars. It's just getting them for like MSRP, because everybody's marking them up too. So that's the issue.
And actually another way that we spent Earth Day, well, technically Earth Week, was car shopping for a second EV. I don't want to announce on the podcast yet what we ended up ordering, but we tried to purchase a used e-Golf, a Volkswagen e-Golf. Okay. And it had sold the day before, and the salesperson was telling us that it had been sitting there for a month and a half, and then literally in 24 hours, 15 people called about the car. Because they want to go electric, they don't want to spend the money on gas. And it sold super quickly. So
wow.
Yeah. So even used EVs are, it's a hot market right now.
Right. I'd be curious to see some stats on like EV sales after like Drive Electric Earth Week or Drive Electric Earth Day, or like any of those events. Like if there is a significant bump or not after events like that.
We need data. We need to find the data.
Right.
We need to find that.
Trying to think what else happened at the event. Nothing else too interesting. Had some great food trucks there. Got some good. Got a good. Forget the name of it. I think it's tortilla food truck or something like that. But they have like Mexican food is so good. Like
oh yeah,
I could probably survive on Mexican food alone.
Same here. I was gonna say I saw the photos as part of like the event page. And I'm like, oh my god, that looks so good. Yeah. Actually, speaking about food trucks, there is a food truck that they park by our house. Well, not directly by our house. It's like kind of down the street outside? At this park. Right outside. We found out that they have a converted bus that's fully electric.
Really?
Didn't know it. We've been there 5 times now, and we went on their website, and there's like a whole like biography about like the truck and like what they did to, or the bus and what they did to it.
So the whole bus is electric?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a coffee shop called the Odd Dog Coffee.
That's
cool.
They
have all drinks based off of like dogs. So they have like Zoomies, which have extra caffeine, and like
3 shots of espresso.
Right. So I'm gonna talk with them about putting together an event, because it would make sense. Like if they have an electric bus,
absolutely,
and let's get all the EVs togetmet at this park, and
that'd be awesome.
Support a small business. So
I forgot to mention at the Earth Day event, I had met a listener in person.
Yes. Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
I texted you about it, but he's like, he came up to me and he's like, "Are you Alex?" I'm like, "I am, yes." He's like, I listen to Living Electric. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome." He's like, "Is Brandon here?"
Oh.
I'm like, "No."
I wish.
Yeah, he's up in Cleveland, so he's got his own event today. But I thought that was really cool. So definitely, if we're out at a public event and we're not like actively doing something else, definitely come say hi.
I actually think it would be fun if we did like a live podcast at like one of those events.
We should just show up somewhere random and just start with speakers.
We're like
in start talking.
we're just like in a random Panera, like somebody's having like a PTA meeting, and we'll just do a live podcast right there.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think that'd be fun if we could like do something like that eventually.
I know we talked about last when we went to the land headquarters. I think we talked about doing some kind of like EV meetup or something like that in the spring or summer, which I think would be really cool, and kind of try to organize all the groups to come and do a larger event and organize that. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think that'd be awesome. Well, I'm not sure if the listener wants to mention their name, but thank you for supporting us.
Yes, definitely. I don't think I caught his name, but yeah, he was a really nice guy. So
that's awesome.
Thanks for the support.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's been a big week for electric trucks.
Yes.
So I wanted to jump into that, not to transition too quickly into this.
Very good.
But lightning has struck, and I know that's probably copyrighted by Ford, but I'm just going to say it on this podcast.
I'm going to have to bleep that out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have connections at Ford. It's fine. It's fine. But this week the F-150 Lightning is now officially in production, and delivery should probably start any day now, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's officially in production, and they're starting to roll out of the factory. I think it's going to be kind of slow go at first. I'm pretty sure they're sold out the rest of the year already, so like that's going to be hard. I just emailed our Ford dealer today actually to ask if he had any other information on it and see if we could get one soon, because Mallory's car is like slowly deteriorating. So.
Oh no!
Gonna need a replacement here soon.
Oh, did they give you any timeline of when that?
I haven't heard back yet. I just sent the email this morning, so
gotcha.
Give them some time, but
yeah.
Very excited for Ford. I think we kind of talked about it in some other podcasts, but like the fact that the number one selling pickup in America is going electric, like really says a lot about the EV future. So
yeah. It's a huge deal. I mean, like even Definitely. Like after we watched the unveiling event last year and did that live stream, like this is a clear sign that the industry is going that way.
Right.
And even at the event, Jim Farley mentioned that they are doing another electric pickup truck that's not an F-150. So,
really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a clear focus for them. There's a lot of interest for these vehicles. So,
what do you think they're going to go to next? I feel like it's got to be a smaller one, like a Ranger, or like I could see an electrified like Maverick too, because I know they just came out with that.
Yeah, I think, I mean, like, it'd probably make sense since the Maverick is already a hybrid. Like, you can get it as a hybrid. But I actually think the Ranger is going to be electric. Like, that's kind of what my gut's telling me.
Yeah.
But, I mean, small pickup trucks are so popular. Like, we're seeing the Maverick all over Cleveland. They're everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. One interesting thing came out about not came out about it, I guess. Like, some discussion came up around EV trucks, EV SUVs, and I tweeted about the Ford F-150 Lightning and got some backlash in the replies, not directed at me, obviously, but just some discussion in the replies. Yeah, I'm such a controversial figure. Got some responses to that tweet saying like, oh, the F-150 and all these like big battery trucks and SUVs are going to become the new gas guzzlers, where they're like, people are buying them because they can, and they've got big batteries and they want bigger, faster. Sounded like Kanye West. bigger batteries, faster trucks. They want like we want everything to be bigger. And kind of the discussion was, is it a waste of our resources to be building these big electric vehicles if like it's just going to be one person driving them like every other car? So
yeah. I mean, it after seeing that like conversation, like the back and forth and everything, like I I could definitely see where that could be, similar in terms of being like the gas guzzlers of like the EV world. It's a lot of resource, to put into these massive battery packs, specifically like, for example, like the Hummer EV. Like that's not a small battery pack at all. And I mean, just the sheer amount of electricity that's going to have to go into that battery, then, be discharged, then recharged, then discharged. I don't know. Like, I like bigger SUVs, but yeah, from an efficiency standpoint, it's just, I don't know.
It's hard because I bet if you did the math, like a really efficient hybrid vehicle, like hybrid gas vehicle, is probably going to be better for the planet than a big Hummer EV, depending on how long the Hummer lasts. Like, I'd be curious to see kind of the where those paths cross there. But besides that, I feel like the more EV options out there, I feel like it is better for the market. And I think these gigantic vans and SUVs, obviously, like, there's going to be a market for that. People are going to buy them, but I don't think that's going to be the majority. Like, I know a lot of people are buying like these big SUVs and stuff, but I don't know. I feel like the more options, the better, because people do buy cars based on like what they want, and if the market is offering an EV version of that, like, I'm going to support that. So
yeah. And another way that you could look at it is that I feel the same way. Like the more options, the better. People are obviously going to buy it, but like the thing is, when you're recharging your vehicle, it's not like a finite source of fuel like how gasoline is. Like essentially, like if you can create your own power from your house using solar, wind, or whatever, you can keep creating that charge for your battery pack. But I mean, in another way that you could look at it too, and this is me personally, I like to have fun when I'm driving, so like I don't necessarily like think of the efficiency. I like when I had a gas car, that was a different story. I always like hyper mild all my cars. But now that I have an EV, I tend to be a little bit more wasteful with the electricity because I just can. I don't know. Like, I just feel like I can just be wasteful, come back and plug it in. But I feel like that's more of a mindset than anything.
I definitely feel the same way, actually, especially if I'm like, since I have home charging now too, that helps a lot. Where if I'm going to the store or whatever, like, I'm going to punch it a few times, like on my way there, because I can, like, I definitely feel the same way. It's different, definitely on road trips though, where I know like I need to not go fast the whole time and keep it efficient. But but I agree with you. Yeah, it's, if you've got the ability to have fun, then go for it.
I don't know. And another thing that you could think about too is just the sheer weight of those vehicles and like what they're doing to the streets. Like, I mean, the Hummer, I believe, almost weighs close to 10,000 pounds. If I'm right, I'm pretty sure it does.
It's huge.
That's a lot of weight to have a car just sitting in a driveway, a parking space, or just simply going down the road. Like, that's a lot of weight. I can't imagine what that's going to do to the roads.
Yeah, that's a good point too. I think the biggest thing that like bugs me sometimes is when people do buy cars that they don't necessarily like need the full capability of. Like, if you are buying an SUV literally to drive back and forth to work, like, that's probably a little bit overkill. And like, you don't have kids, like, and you don't need to like shuttle people around often. Like, that sometimes I think is not great. But also, like, if you want to do that, you can. Like, like, I'm not going to judge you for it. Like, I don't know.
I would be that person. I mean, like I said earlier, like that slip, the R1S is like, like a 7-seater. I mean, I would literally probably just have Tyler and I, mostly me, with groceries. Like, but I don't know. I just feel like here in America, and I'm not just going to like, be polarizing with this comment. I just feel like a lot of us just don't think of that, like it's definitely
a different mindset here. And I've found that like the more I've like kind of studied up on like European culture and like the way that they do EVs over in Europe, like it's just way different than the US, and like everything is much less car centric in Europe. Like, and I think the size factor is a big piece of it too, where it's like most of their countries are the size of like our states. Like, if I lived in a major city and my whole family lived there and I didn't need a car, like I probably wouldn't have a car, but like I do need a car for things I need to do. Like I've got people that live across the country. Like I want to be able to go see them in my car if I need to.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's just a different kind of culture here.
Yeah. It really is. And I've fallen victim to it. You know, we went with one car for 1 month and now we're like, we can't do that. Let's get a second car. So, yeah.
Right. And overall, I think like this kind of got brought up at the Earth Day event because there was some kind of like backlash at the EVs being there at all because like a lot of people rode their bikes there and it was like free bike parking like on one end of the street for people attending the event, which is great. Like if you can bike, that's significantly better than driving a car.
Yes.
Like
yeah,
significantly better.
Yeah.
And I wish that things were easier to bike to, like where I live, and like if I was able to get by with a bike, like I feel like I would. And that's one thing I might try for a video is like only biking for a month and just like see how it goes. See if I can live with like without a car for a month.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I mean, yeah, the thing is, you know, EVs, like they are a solution to, you know, like the climate crisis and helping reduce pollution. But the thing is that they're not a perfect solution.
Yeah.
So like, you know, if you can ride a bike, if you can walk, like then good, you know, that's great. But the thing is that like there's no perfect solution at all. Like, yeah. So
yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. I think the immediate backlash comes with EVs when we're and I don't think many people in the EV industry like claim it's a perfect solution either, but like kind of EV skeptics will be like, oh well, like you're still burning coal to charge your EV, and it's like, well, it's like we're still reducing emissions either way. Like we're not we're not burning gas and like having fuel transported to our town to then fuel our cars, which we burn, like, and we've got to repeat that cycle. Like there's more to it than that, I think. So just kind of that surface level, it's easy to dismiss it as like, oh, it's not helping, but it is. I mean, it's reduction and kind of like limiting our impact is the important thing.
Yeah, exactly. I was actually listening to a podcast recently, and the thing is that it's not we're not going to have this like perfect future in the sense that like everything is going to be fixed. It's just we're going to have an improved future, but the problems will still exist. So yeah,
if we could eliminate all problems, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, right. exactly. But that's the thing with yes, yeah, right. I know. But you know, that's the thing with EVs is that like, yeah, they are a much better solution than burning gasoline, but they're not perfect, and that's realistic, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But you know, when it comes to like the Hummer EV, if the person who is going to get a Hummer EV is driving like a, you know, like
a regular Hummer,
I think it's called that, or like a Yukon XL or whatever those like massive SUVs, it's better because they're not pumping, you know, CO2 into the air. So yeah. So I don't know. That's a really tough conversation because I can see it from either way, like the environmental way. Yeah. Like it could be a massive waste of resources, but then you're not producing you know emissions when you're driving it. But yeah.
And we're very much like a market economy in the U.S. Like if people, there's clearly a market for the Hummer, and people are going to buy the Hummer. So like businesses are going to make it. Do you see one just sold at auction for like, I think close to $300,000?
Yeah, I did see that.
It's like, holy cow. Like,
right?
It's a cool vehicle. I don't know if I want to spend that much on it though.
Right. I just want to crab walk through the Costco parking lot. Like, that's all I want to do. Like, if anybody's listening,
the ultimate suburban flex right there. Crab walking through the Costco parking lot.
Yes. If anybody in Ohio has a Hummer EV that wants to let me borrow it to crab walk through the Costco parking lot, that would be a dream come true.
That's awesome.
Please email us.
Jeez. That's so funny.
But I mean, I feel like as we start seeing like the bigger trucks and like kind of like the one-to-one replacements of like the specific category of vehicles, I think that topic is just going to be brought up more and more because at least here in the United States, like you hit on the head, like we have a lot more space for these bigger vehicles that Europe, necessarily doesn't in certain, countries. Yeah. So like cars like the Smart for 2 or like the Fiat 500 electric, they're not successful here because we're so used to the big cars.
Yeah.
So And man, I really wish I could tell everybody what car we just purchased, but we're waiting for it to be delivered. But it's small. Yeah, I don't know.
I was gonna say, did you get like a Rivian or something? No.
No, I wish.
No, you'll have to tell me after we stop recording.
Oh yeah, yep.
We'll end the podcast with you announcing your new vehicle and just cut it off right before you reveal it, and then we'll start the next podcast with you saying just the name of the vehicle.
Right. Perfect transition.
All right. Any other EV news? I'm trying to look at our list here, see if we got anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, this was interesting. The I don't know if you saw the article about the Spark EV, the Chevy Spark EV.
So, let's talk about that because,
okay.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yeah. So, well, I guess I'd rather hear what you have to say because, like, I heard something last night, and I'm not sure if that's the article you're talking about.
Okay. I just attached the article in kind of our brainstorm list, but I'm just kind of skimming it right now. But basically, the Spark EV is no longer being supported by GM. They're essentially saying if the battery fails, you've got no options to repair the car. They're not going to touch it. It's basically like they're not going to supply batteries for it anymore. So they have a few batteries left over, but that supply is like completely run out now. So they have no extra batteries for this Spark EV. So like if your battery dies, you're kind of screwed. And I'm not sure what happens to them at the end here. That's what I'm looking at. Okay, so if the battery fails under warranty, they might get their money back for the car, but they won't have the car, obviously. And then if it's not under warranty, then their car is like just not drivable then, or it's kind of inoperable at that point. So
yeah, my
question is like, has the Spark EV's like 8-year battery warranty run out? It looks like they started making it in like 2014. So
so that article that you shared is from April 21st. Last night, GM actually clarified what is happening with the Spark EV batteries.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
everything, disregard everything I just said.
No. It was a good preface for this because it actually brings up a really good question, which I'll get to in a second. But GM clarified that the reason that that whole announcement was kind of misunderstood because GM is actually running out of resources to produce the battery packs to support the Sparks.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
it's not that they're done supporting the Sparks. It's just that they can't produce the battery packs at the moment to support them. So they're going to continue to support them, but they have to make the battery pack.
It's a resource issue.
Yeah. Which I will definitely find that article and, we can put that in the show notes. But I was actually really surprised when I first read that because somebody in the Drive Electric Northeast Ohio group has a Spark EV that he adores. And he was really worried that he would have to get rid of it because it's no longer supported at the time, at least he thought. Yeah. He actually brought up a good question. What happens to the vehicles that you buy that the technology changes so quickly that those older battery packs are now outdated and no longer supported?
Yeah. It's kind of the age-old tech problem, right? It's like buying an iPhone and then the iPhone 20 comes out and you're like, oh, I just bought my iPhone 19 and it's already out of date. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing. Like it really depends on kind of how big that leap is. But I think we're going to see it even more with EVs because it's literally it's not only a fuel change, but it's just overall a technology change. Like, even looking at the like original Model S's from 2012 to like the Model 3s and Model S's rolling off the lot now, like they look like different cars. Like,
oh, totally.
Like, clearly like kind of same shell, but they like completely different cars now. They've got like, they're driving around like basically full autopilot some ways, like some places. Like it's insane how far they've come. So I'm hoping that it doesn't turn into the software problem where it's like we guarantee that we're going to support your car for at least 10 years because that's like a big piece of it with how much software is in cars now. But I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's all I can really say.
Yeah. I think it would be like realistic if like manufacturers stated that like supporting software for 10 years, because
Right.
like the average consumer keeps their vehicle for around 10 years.
I think it's closer to 15.
Oh, is it 15 now?
I think so. Yeah.
I've never even lasted a 5. So good for them. Kudos to them.
That's average. So
Well, I guess I'm not average then. But
you're above average.
yes, exactly. Yeah, I'm so excited about the new cars. But I mean, it would make sense. Like if the average consumer, well, I'm just gonna say below average, is keeping their vehicle until 10 years, then it would make sense. But then the thing is that what happens to the vehicles that are out of that range that, like, say, for example, like a second owner goes and buys that vehicle? How does that work? Like,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so different too, because it's like I try to equate it to gas, because that's really only our like other car like option right now. But it's like if you buy a car that's out of warranty and the transmission is shot and that it doesn't run, like you're kind of taking a risk by buying that car, right? Thinking that you can fix it up. And if you can't, like you're stuck with a brick basically. Like,
yeah.
I think it's a similar thing. One thing I was going to add is I believe there's like a federal requirement that the battery needs to be under warranty for 8 years, right? I think that's the battery like warranty minimum. So if you buy a brand new EV today, like it's going to be under warranty for 8 years. But then like what happens if you're like you buy a used EV that's 10 years old and then the battery is shot like right after you buy it because you bought it used and it's out of warranty? Like what's that? Either battery reuse or replacement or refurbishment, like what is that going to be like? Because that's a big piece of the car, but also I think it could lead to like almost a second life for EVs too, because the motors are going to last essentially forever. The battery really is probably going to be the first thing to die like long term. That's a big piece of the car. So if you'd like, it's clear example with the Chevy Bolts right now. It's like the batteries are completely like shot. They're kind of replacing all of them right now. But with the Bolt owners that get a battery replacement, they're getting like over 300 miles of range on some of these new battery packs. Like it's essentially like a brand new car, right? So I don't know. Just kind of a different paradigm with EVs.
Yeah. And, it's actually funny we're talking about this because I feel like this could be an episode on its own,
right.
But like predicting the future of EV support, because, like with gas vehicles, they've been produced for so long that like there's, third-party manufacturers that are specifically manufacturing those parts in bulk.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows what like today's market with like, resources and like availability, but like if you need a transmission part or whatever, most of the time the service center can just order that. But like if you need a battery pack, all of them are being so, like the manufacturers are focusing on putting battery packs into new vehicles that like it's just going to be really interesting that like if in 10 years we're going to start seeing like these like stockpiles of battery parts, like cells and, whatever, like even maybe just whole battery packs that are just ready to go.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you see that on eBay already. It's like you can buy like a Model 3 battery pack on eBay from like a totaled Model 3. So, I mean, it's already happening right now. I mean, if you watch any like the Rich Rebuilds videos, that's essentially like what he does is kind of Frankenstein parts together to build a vehicle. So
yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how like the future of support goes for EVs. Another thing I do want to talk about too, and I'm not sure if there's a business out there that does this, but when we had Brent Seavey from Accelerate on one of our previous episodes talking about like extended warranties for used EVs, most of that was covering like the hardware and firmware aspects of EVs. I'm wondering if there's any warranties or warranty companies that just focus on software, because obviously you would need the developers and you would need some way to produce that software, for that vehicle.
Yeah.
But
that gets messy real quick, because there's like, it's almost saying like, is there a company out there that like will promise that your Windows XP machine is still going to run? Like it's kind of asking a similar question. So
true. Yeah.
We should have a chat about that on the charging side, because I definitely see that becoming an issue. Because we've had some issues with some of our not our stations, but like older stations that we've taken onto our network that were produced almost 10 years ago, and the companies have moved on to a different software platform and they're no longer supporting those old chargers. So similar kind of problem, but on the charging side. So it's like everything moving to software, it's a blessing and a curse, because we've got all this visibility to stuff, but then it's like it's just more stuff to upkeep. Like that's kind of the problem. So
yeah. We should definitely talk about that in a future episode.
Yeah. All right.
Mark that one down.
Yep.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out with older EVs and as they age and, getting the support, because like the new car that we just bought is 2017. So like it's already 5 years old. And, of course we're looking at like third party warranties, and, Carvana's offering a warranty for the battery. Well, at least the drivetrain. It still has a factory warranty for the battery. But yeah, we're kind of taking a risk with this one, but we'll see how that plays out.
Make good content.
Yes, exactly. Yep, we're going to be the sole producer of that.
All right. Anything else you want to add? We had a good discussion here today.
Yeah.
A lot of different stuff. So
yeah, I think, it was definitely a good discussion. I just want to add that if anybody listening has any topics that they would like to add, or any questions or comments on our conversations about the F-150 Lightning, the bigger and quote unquote better EVs, like, the Hummer, stuff like that, let us know. Definitely let us know on social media. We'd love to get the conversation started.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You want to announce your new car?
Yeah, we bought a